The FBI announced a new tool to fight fraud. Director Kash Patel unveiled the Bureau's first ever most wanted fraudsters list. It's designed to focus attention on fugitives accused of major financial crimes and generate tips from the public. Among the names is a Chicago native, Herbert Leon Kimball. Federal prosecutors say Kimball orchestrated a multi-million-dollar healthcare fraud scheme involving hospice companies. He was convicted in 2022, but didn't show up for his sentencing and remains a fugitive.
In 2019, federal agents announced the takedown of one of the largest healthcare fraud schemes in America. More than $1 billion in fraud was claimed. Dozens of arrests, a web of telemarketers, doctors, and medical equipment suppliers stretching across the globe. And at the center of it all was a man named Herbert Get to the Bag Leon Kimball. But this isn't just a story of massive fraud operations. It's also a story of a man who pled guilty, then disappeared before he could be sentenced. For years, Medicare data analysts noticed something strange. Orthopedic braces claims were exploding. Thousands upon thousands of patients were suddenly being prescribed back braces, knee braces, wrist braces, and medical devices. The numbers didn't add up. Investigators began digging deeper, and what they found was a nationwide network that allegedly generated prescriptions through aggressive telemarketing and questionable telemedical practices. According to the prosecutor, elderly Americans were contacted through advertisements and call centers. Many were offered free and low-cost braces, but their information was passed down through the chain of businesses. Telemedicine providers would approve prescriptions, medical equipment suppliers would bill Medicare, and the money flowed through the system at an astonishing rate. As investigators followed the trail, they uncovered connections to an offshore call center operating from the Philippines. Among the individuals identified was Herbert Leon Kimball. Prosecutors claimed his operation played a major role in generating leads and fueled by the billion-dollar scheme. Here's the part that surprises many people. The investigation didn't begin because an employee came forward. It didn't start because someone got caught red-handed. Instead, investigators were alerted by the data. That's right, the computer is what ended up being his downfall. The billing patterns were so unusual that they stood out from millions of legitimate Medicare claims. Federal agencies began comparing prescription records, provider activity, and payment streams. As the evidence mounted, investigators connected the dots. 1 + 1 = 2. It wasn't hard to follow. The result was Operation Brace Yourself, a nationwide crackdown targeting the fraud network. In 2019, Kimball pleaded guilty to the federal charges connected to the schemes. At that point, many assured the story was over. The government had won. The case was solved. All that remained was sentencing. But that never happened. Years later, Kimball was scheduled to appear in court for sentencing. He never showed up. Who would have guessed? Federal authorities issued a warrant for his arrest. Who would have really guessed that a man that stole $1.2 billion was a flight risk? Federal authorities issued a warrant for his arrest. Instead of facing prison time, he vanished. He pulled a Houdini. The FBI later added him to the list of wanted fugitives and announced a reward for information leading to his capture. To this day, authorities have believed he may have fled overseas. $1 billion fraud scheme, a guilty plea, a missing defendant, and a federal manhunt continues years after the investigation first began. The question now isn't how investigators are going to uncover the operation. It's where is Herbert Leon Kimball today? and whether one of the FBI's most wanted fugitives will ever be brought and face sentencing. Kimball was last known to be residing in Manila in the Philippines. I wonder if they'll ever find him. This is really the thriller of Manila, if I've ever seen one. He makes Jordan Belford look like a rookie. He makes Bertie Madoff look like an amateur. They should have just called it a Kimball scheme instead of a Ponzi scheme, because Kimball, he takes the cake. He is quite possibly one of the best thieves in America to ever exist. No one, I don't believe, will ever break his record of $1.2 billion. Billy with a billion, with a B.